anybody on here? Oh, I'm super nervous. Just being super honest. I'm going to wait just a couple minutes to see if anybody comes on here. I already did my makeup, a little bit of makeup, because I have a pretty good feeling that I might cry. I might just get started because it's during the day and this is when I feel like I can do this because I'm super scared. The lives are always scary, but this one is, it's going to be more scary. So I'm just going to go ahead and start my why I do what I do and why I keep doing what I do. Just going to start out with, I started out just to get a discount on products. That's why. But it's grown huge for me. A few weeks after I started, I found out about the foundation that we give money to for people who've been sexually abused to help them heal. And I started to learn a lot about what they were doing to help women with self-esteem. So I'm going to talk about stuff from a long time ago. I might bounce around a little bit because I don't have a script. I'm just doing this from my heart. But most of us struggle with some self-esteem stuff and friendships and trust and all those things. So this has nothing to do with this company. I mean, it has everything to do with what I've found in this company, but I'm not doing this to sell you something. I'm doing this to help people. Maybe my story will help you, and maybe it won't. If it does, that's amazing. If it helps one person feel some strength or some courage, maybe it's just relatable, whatever it is. So I am going to start out with, and you'll understand more why these things mean so much to me as I tell the story. But I'm going to start out with that nothing I'm going to talk about today is to hurt anybody's feelings, actions that were done towards me. I'm not saying those were even intentional or even that those people knew what they were doing, okay? So I don't want anybody to think that this is just like me airing dirty laundry or me just out here having a platform to talk bad about people, because it's not what I'm doing, okay? But I am going to tell you that I do struggle with self-esteem. I've struggled with self-esteem my whole life, since I was a little girl, really. So it wasn't all that long ago. I was doing makeup with some people and I said something about having low self-esteem and they laughed and they're like, yeah, right. I think I've put on a really good show for a lot of people in my life. Kind of fake it to make it. So I'm talking to my hands, sorry. So I'm just going to start way back to the beginning, and I'm going to share some pretty sad things, some pretty relatable probably things, and some things you probably can't really fathom. And I'm just doing this to try to help somebody, and if there's anything that I can do to help you, I don't care if I friended you yesterday or if I've known you my whole life. Like, I truly want to be there for people. I want to love on people. I want to just be an ear if you just need to talk, because I've had amazing people do that for me. So we'll start back with what I remember from my beginning hurt, I guess. So I'm sorry again. This is so difficult. I'm not trying to hurt my mom by talking about this stuff, but I've never had a relationship with my mother. We just didn't relate to each other. We are very similar personalities, but I never felt like she loved me. I always felt like she cared about my sister more because they had things more in common that they did together. And again, I don't think this was necessarily intentional, but it was hurtful. My sister was always skinny and I was kind of chubby, and and some of this might be my perception, I just felt like that was something that my mom admired, or that, she kind of bragged about. But in middle school, I started getting bullied pretty bad for my weight. Every day I would get teased about stuff. I had a particular boy who was next to my locker who would push me down and call me fat girl and fatso every single day for 7th and 8th grade. So that was humiliating. I'd come home, I'd cry, and parents say what they say, like, don't let it bother you. Well, it does bother you. It actually, like, is true deep down bothersome and hurtful. So the summer before I started high school, I decided to lose some weight. And it very, very quickly became an obsession and turned into an eating disorder. So probably by my junior year, it had gotten pretty bad. And that next summer so then in between there, my mom and dad got divorced. So I'm going to try not to retract too much here, but my mom and dad had gotten divorced, and my mom moved out and told us that the friend she was staying with didn't want us there, so we didn't get to go see her hardly at all. And this was a mutual friend of my parents that had spent tons of time with our family. Later on, I found out when I talked to this person that she had asked repeatedly why we weren't coming over. So this was just an excuse, lie, whatever, so that she didn't have to deal with us, I guess, so she could party. I don't know. So it was really hurtful. And then as I got ready for my senior year, that summer, my dad had put me in an outpatient program for people with eating disorders. I had lost probably at that point over the 4 years, like 70-ish pounds. So I was doing that. My grandma was taking me when my dad couldn't, and I was taking myself, and I was going to the doctor a lot. And about 3 weeks after I started my senior year, I was put inpatient. And I still remember the day I found out. My super, super dear best friend begged me to eat. And I thought my value was based on my looks and my weight because of the things I had been told. And at that point, I hadn't eaten for 7 days. So going in, and I really thought I wasn't hurting myself. So it's amazing how that stuff gets into your head. And I don't remember if it was that year or shortly before that. I had another friend who wouldn't take me to church with her unless I had my makeup done, because on top of having some weight issues, I also had some terrible acne, which is normal. We all have these things, right? But people who I truly looked up to or cared about, or who I thought would have would support me, excuse me, were very hurtful about that. So anyway, so then I went in inpatient for 3 weeks. Over that 3 weeks, my mom came to see me once, which just compounded that feeling of not being loved or wanted or supported. So my dad came every day almost. He came from work. He was amazing. He right from work at 9 o'clock at night. They made an exception for him. Through all this, dads do what dads, he was supportive, but dads don't boost you up like that, I guess, in that way. I don't know, I think I maybe not all people, I was looking for that from my mom. So that was really hard. At that point, my mom had been dating somebody and kind of just doing her own life. We barely talked. So then that led me to a pretty verbally abusive relationship. Very. I was told that I'd be nothing without him. I was told that I was not pretty without makeup, that I needed makeup. Just a lot of hurtful things, a lot of mean things. Again, this is not trying to bad talk him. These are things that continually compounded the low self-esteem. So I know a lot of you can relate. unfortunately. And unfortunately, we're not built with a lot of self-esteem anyways. So again, people that I loved, that I thought would not hurt me or shouldn't hurt me, then I was being hurt more. Terrible comments about what having a baby had done to me, to my body, and just things that cut you up and they stick with you for a super long time. So over this time, I continued to have a very, very estranged relationship with my mother. We fought a lot. She told me I was the biggest mistake she ever made. And she is dealing with her own issues, right? Through this whole thing. She's become an alcoholic, and she's got her own stuff, and I don't know how to deal with that, and just still feeling just unwanted, I guess. That's pretty much what I felt like for the majority of my childhood, adult life. Of course, I had a lot of people who did. I've been super blessed with outside people. Friendships I made, especially the last 10 years, have been incredible. And learning. But we'll get to that and how I've dealt with that stuff. But still struggle, like I still do. So that led me to kind of just coasting for a few years, and I ended up getting divorced and didn't really do a ton of dating and very few relationships, and ended up meeting my daughter's birth father. And he cheated on me. And of course, that's never good, right? Like, that makes us think we're doing something wrong and we're inadequate. You're not. If that's happened to you, you're not. That's their problem. They have issues. But that's not how we look at it, right? We aren't fulfilling something in our minds. I ended up getting married to him. So I had been single for like 7 years, and we got married. And let's just backtrack. 2 weeks after I married him, I found out he had responded to a Craigslist ad. He was looking for somebody to do things with, if you get my drift. And then he was also on a dating website for married people. So I was crushed, and again felt, it just keeps going, right? And I think this happens to a lot of people. Just one thing after another, and then you'll have compliments in between, but it doesn't do it for you, because so many things have really devastated you and broke down your self-esteem, unfortunately. Excuse me. So that was 2 weeks after, and 2 weeks after that, so 4 weeks, 32 days after I got married to him, I found out he was a child molester. And it pretty much crushed me. And that's part of what I said in the beginning, this unique foundation and how they go to help people. And then they also partner with Defend Innocence to help stop child abuse, to stop the sexual abuse. That became super real. Like, I really wanted to help people, because I personally hadn't been through it, but I had in another fashion, right? So I find out that he had done this, and this stuff doesn't go quickly, right? It's like 3 years of battling him and help, the person who it happened to, and there was all the court, and then of course going through custody for my little girl, who was 2 at the time. And in the courts, you're innocent till proven guilty, and that can be a really good thing on some hands, and other hands not so much. So the courts, while this was going, forced me to bring her to a supervised visitation center every Saturday, 45 minutes from our house. So we had to go to St. Paul, and I had to drop her off. I couldn't be in there, and I had to trust that they were making sure she didn't get hurt. So I did that for a year, until he finally pled guilty. But that wasn't the end. It's still strung out. I don't know if you know anything about the court stuff. This is what happens. It just strings out for so long. But thankfully, he did plead guilty, and I never had to let my little one be with him again, but it destroyed me. Like, at that point, I had decided that I had no worth. Like, now I can't even pick a guy. Like, I pick guys who hurt me and verbally abuse me, and then now I've made this horrible decision to be with somebody who hurt a little kid, and now my little girl doesn't have a dad, and I clearly can't make decisions. And now at this point, I trust nobody. Like, I absolutely trust nobody. So I went through a long period of pain and hurt, and I cried all the time. I lived in fear. I lived in fear that he would send people to hurt us, that he would do anything. Your head will go to these places, but I just felt so worthless. Like, it was my fault that I picked this person. Like, I should have known. You blame yourself even though you don't know. These people are so manipulative, and they're so good at tricking people and convincing people they're good. I mean, when I met him, he had full custody of his son. He had a great job. He had a nice house. He took care of it. It wasn't run down. Like, he was careful. Like, he was a caring person. I don't know how I'm trying to say that, but at one point, I had gotten so depressed and just rock bottom that I didn't even know if I could raise my kids anymore, because I did not think that I was the best person for them. Because I had internally decided that I just couldn't make good decisions. So I just beat myself up to no end. And for whatever reason, that day I was on the floor crying, and I got up and I looked in the mirror, and something clicked, and I decided that wasn't true, and I needed to get help. Because my kids deserve to have a mom, and have a mom who is participating and not hurting herself and beating herself up inside and talking bad about herself. So I got therapy. I started going to therapy, and it took 5 years for me to say I loved myself. And I didn't even really believe it yet. Like, I still really didn't love myself, but I was getting there after 5 years of therapy. So if you want to rewind, this was in 2010 to 2015. I went to therapy every week. And I went to church all the time, and I just kept believing, and I kept working on changing my mindset and building my self-esteem up again. But I still struggled. I struggled for a long time. And I want people to know that there is help. Like, therapy is an amazing thing. And just because one person or 5 people, whatever it is, maybe it's 20 people, I don't know, have seriously impacted you by telling you bad things and hurtful things, it's not true. It's their problem. Like, it truly is their problem. And that's one of the things that I learned through therapy. It's not me. But when this stuff's ingrained in you for so many years, like, I was done with therapy a year ago, right? So I did it for 8 years. 8 years. And I still struggle. With that. I still struggle with some of the things. Most of it's a lot better. But my self-esteem is still not where it should be. It's not, because it should be amazing. Every one of your self-esteem should be amazing. Because God put you here. He made you exactly the way you are. He planned out your life from the beginning. And maybe you don't believe like that, and I'm not pushing you, but that's what I believe. And if I really believe that, then I need to believe that I am good and that I am worthy. But that's one of the things that I have that has helped me too with this company. It's these women uplifting each other, empowering each other. It takes, I don't know what the numbers are, but it takes so many good things to wipe out a bad thing, or, when you hear things, so many more good things. With this, I get it every day. Like, every day I'm getting kudos and way to goes and you rock. And that stuff starts to build you up. It really does. So even though I don't go to therapy anymore, and I have all these tools, they're hard to put into action, because I go back to the beginning to not feeling loved by my mom. Like, that was the base of it. Like, multiple people in my life, and some of this stuff I'm not even sharing with you guys, okay? Because some of it isn't mine to share. And I don't want to say things that are going to upset or hurt other people beyond what I've already said. But a lot of people in my life have broken my trust, have walked away from me through all the stuff I was going through after I found out that he was a child molester, the one that from before, the ex. I don't even want to say I was really married, like, doesn't even count. But I have friends that left me. Like, friends that just quit talking to me during that because there was so much going on and it was so much drama. They just left me. I don't know why. I of course, I just thought it was me. I thought that they just didn't like me because, I don't know, I was annoying. I talked about this stuff too much. I didn't know how to deal with this stuff. And talking about it was all I knew how to do, to try to understand, feel better. I learned eventually I would never understand what he did because I'm not a disgusting person like that. I wouldn't do that. But through all of this, I've learned that I don't need everybody to like me. That's fine. You don't have to. You don't have to like anything about me, actually. And that's hard for me to say because even getting on the lives when I do my makeup, I know people are, wow, like, that takes a lot of confidence. It takes a lot of courage, actually. It's not that I'm not confident. I'm not. I get scared every single time. Like, right now, my tummy is in knots doing this. But it's been on my heart for so long to share this because maybe I can help you. Maybe you are in that verbally abusive relationship and I can just listen. I don't know. Maybe you've been super duper hurt by somebody. Or maybe you have secrets that you don't want to tell anybody. Like, I don't know. Whatever it might be. But I want to help people. Like, that truly, truly, truly is why I'm doing this. So I post all these things about being nice to people. Like, you don't know what people are going through. You don't know what they've been through. And you don't get to decide how they should be living their life. For years, I didn't get a regular job because I was terrified to put Lily in daycare. I had people say that I was lazy, that I didn't want to take care of my kids, that I didn't want... No. I was doing different jobs that I could do at home so that I didn't have to drop her off. Okay? Because one of the few babysitters I had was a family member and not an uncle that I haven't talked to in 6 years, and I'm not going to get into why, because that's just too much at this point, but I needed to do what I needed to do, and it wasn't anybody else's place to judge that, and it isn't our place to judge anything that anybody else is doing. I've left jobs and lost friends because I don't know why. Right? Like, this is, if it comes down to sometimes, if you're not serving people a purpose, if you're not getting anything out of you, then your value actually is not there. So sometimes I think we have friendships and relationships that we don't have or aren't as what we think they are. But that's just something to keep in mind. Be aware of who's really putting into you, because those are the people, when they're being really genuine, those are the people you have. And unfortunately, we have less people than we think. But that's okay. Treasure those relationships and those friendships. I am super blessed to have some very, very close friends and an amazing sister who is my best friend. And an amazing husband that talks to me about anything and everything. And supports what I do. That's been huge. Because having his support helps give me courage to keep going, to do what I do. Because honestly, I've said multiple times, like, I'm not going to do this business anymore because XYZ, whatever reasons I come up with that day. Because it's just really easy to just not do it, find something else, because you're scared of failure. You're scared of what people are thinking. You're scared of that they're judging you. I love what I do. I love making women feel good. I love seeing them get excited because they found something that looks really pretty, or they like the feel, or whatever it is. Because yeah, there's some women who don't care about makeup, and that's awesome. It is so awesome. I will go out of the house without makeup. I absolutely will. It's not like I have to have it. I like it. It's fun. There was a time I didn't leave the house without it. But most of us do feel a little bit better when we do it. So to be able to help people with that is really fun and exciting. And to build relationships, it's been really good. And that is awesome. And I can't believe I haven't cried. Because that was a lot of stuff. But yeah, that's kind of where it's at. I do this because I want to help people. And I want to help me. I want me to feel better. And I do. Like, this helps me feel better. And I can help other people do that. And I can give to the Unique Foundation. And I can help send these women on this retreat so they can heal from the sexual abuse that happened to them. And I can continue to help and give to the Defend Innocence program to help educate our children to stop the abuse. And God forbid they are abused, that they talk to us, that we get them the help they need. Like, that is so key. We can't always stop the pain. We can't always stop it. We're not always right there, unfortunately. And I know that. I know that very well. But we can help them heal. And we can get them the help that they need. And we can get ourselves the help we need for our own issues, our own problems, our own pain, our own hurt. There goes the tears. So, I totally lost my train of thought. You're worth it. They're worth it. Love yourself like you would love the 5-year-old version of you. Treat yourself like you would treat the 5-year-old version of you. Would you ever think that the way you think about yourself? Would you ever look at her like that? Because you're still her. And you still need love, and you still need compliments, and you still need to feel good. So the next time you look in the mirror, remember you're made exactly the way you're supposed to be. And try to see her. Try to see that 5-year-old little girl. Or that 5-year-old little boy. Maybe you're a guy out there. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut guys out. Women just tend to struggle with this more. But I know there are guys who do struggle a lot with self-esteem and pain. So just think of that. Think of 5-year-old you. Whether it's a boy or a girl. How would you talk to them? How would you think about them? Because you wouldn't be mean. You wouldn't be hurtful. And you surely wouldn't judge them. Right? Okay. So I guess that's it in a nutshell. I didn't want to make this take super long, but I wanted to give an idea of why I'm doing this. I'm not just doing this to sell makeup. Like, yes, it's a business and that's part of it. But there is so much more to this. And I just want you to know, like, even if you don't know me very well, I'm here. I will answer your messages. I will answer your calls. I will do whatever I can to help you. Even if that's just listening or giving you a hug, crying with you, whatever you need. Because I know some of us are out there not getting it at all. And I know that I was there. And I know that I've come a super duper long way. And I'm still working on it, right? We're all a work in progress. But I was there in a really dark, icky, bad place. Because I didn't feel loved and wanted. And if that's one of you, I mean it. Like, call me, text me, whatever you need. I guess that's it. Have a super good day.